and welcome back to Skyrim. Whew. Um, well, first I would like to say that the video I made makes no service to the actual beauty of the game. It looks much better in Full HD and without compression. Uh, so just play the game if you want to see the full details and the full beauty of it. And in this video, I'm going to cover the character, movement, combat, stats, skills, and so on. So this is basically an optional video. You don't have to watch it if you know everything about this already, but I'll cover it anyway. So in this world, this is a role-playing game, and you have a huge map that you can explore. It's really huge. It takes like half an hour to move from one part of it to the other. And it has a lot of dungeons. Dungeons are instanced parts of the game, so they are not represented on the regular map. So the actual game is much larger. I would say 50% more of this is underground and in cities and so on. So through this map you have very high mountains like that mountain over there, and so the elevation plays an important part. You move by your, keys or your controller, whatever you're playing on. I think it's the left controller, and you can move, you can jump, you cannot climb. Um, you can climb on just by jumping, so if the elevation is too high or too steep, more precisely, you cannot get onto it, so you need to find a way, less steep path up to something. You can also crouch, which will put you into sneak mode, and you can swim, and that's about it. So these three basic functions you can perform. Let me cover the jumping first. You can move, at least that was the case in Oblivion. You can try to cheat your way up some very steep surfaces. Well, okay, they removed it in this game. Basically, you could walk on the edges of, slopes of polygons, but that seems to be fixed. Anyway, you can still, by jumping, you can reach places that would otherwise be unreachable. Sometimes it's intended, sometimes it's not. That's the jumping. Swimming is pretty straightforward. You lose your breath, you have breath, or it may be stamina in this game, I'm not sure. When you reach 0 of that bar, you will start to suffocate and lose health, and if you lose all your health, you will die. So try not to enter water without, or stay in water too long. There are some breathing potions, water breathing potions, and spells that can enable, possibly items as well, that can enable you to stay underwater indefinitely. So you're moving through this world, and it's by these means. You can also purchase a mount. I know of horses, but they can be possibly more types of mounts in the game. The mounts move faster than you, and obviously is the fastest way to get somewhere. You can also quick travel. When you learned at least 2 locations, you can fast travel between them. For example, as you can see, I can fast travel to Helgen, the first city I was in. And it will take time, but you won't be attacked in the meantime, and it's fast, it's instantaneous to you. So in-game time passes when fast traveling, but not your time. Some people, some role players try to avoid fast traveling to get a full feel of the scope of the game, but I'm not one of those people. Anyway, the other very important thing in this game about character movement and manipulation is combat. So you have 2 different options. You have your left hand and your right hand. you can use them both. One can hold, for example, a shield, the other one a sword, or you can use dual wield, or you can use two spells at the same time. So both your hands have either the same function or different functions. Um, it depends really on the character you want to play. If you play a melee warrior that wants to use a shield and a sword or mace, that's fine. If you want to play a two-handed character, that's also fine. If you want to use bow and arrow, obviously it takes two hands to shoot a bow, so there's that. You need to press and hold your left or right mouse button to perform the action, so just clicking it won't do the trick. Well, it will, but not for all things. For example, you will, with one click, you will swing your weapon, but you won't block successfully, so you need to, in combat, a lot of things happen. So you need to click repeatedly to get the desired result in combat. With bows it's a little bit different. You need to press and hold your left mouse button and then just release it, but you cannot use your other button in the meantime, the right mouse button. Sneaking is basically crouching at start, and then you get this cursor. This one displays that eye is closed, and if the eye is closed, that means nobody can see you or hear you at the moment. If it's half open, then some enemies are alerted of your presence, and if it's fully open, then the enemies know exactly where you are and are going to attack you, or are already attacking you. So sneaking is very powerful. It enables you to perform sneak attacks, which do sometimes insane amount of damage, especially with perks, which I will talk about later. And it can help you avoid a lot of unwanted combat as well. And generally, if you want to play a character who isn't being smashed around a lot, it's probably best to invest some time into sneaking. Okay, that covers the movement and the weapon skills. Or maybe I'll show a little bit how spells work. So you just press and hold the button and the spell works, whatever its ability is. As you can see, I'm currently losing my magicka. I'll probably cover that later, since I'll be using some spells throughout my game. Okay, so I think I'm not very proficient with my spells, because I can use only one hand for casting spells. I checked, there are only 3 stats in this game. There are no strength, agility, constitution, intelligence anymore. There is just magicka, which is represented by the blue bar. There is stamina, which is represented by the green bar over there on the right, and there is health, which is represented in the middle by the red bar. Whenever you level up, you get 10 points, which you can distribute throughout these 3 stats. Everything else that determines how your character how powerful your character is determined by the items you wear, if they're better quality than the ones you had previously, and your skills. So let me go to skills now. Skills are divided into 3 different, well, let's say groups. The blue skills, or the blue skies, represent magic skills. The green skies or green skills represent your stealth skills, and the red skies and red skills represent your combat skills. So how do you increase the effectiveness of your character? You use skills that are associated with, those parts of the game you want to explore. So for example, if you want to be a rogue or a thief, you will want to use perhaps daggers, bows and arrows, you will want to lockpick items, you will want to sneak up on people, pick their pockets, and so on. You will probably want to become invisible from time to time, and so on. So how does this reflect into your skills? If you use daggers, you will increase your one-handed skill every time you successfully attack an enemy with a dagger. You will increase your archery skill whenever you successfully hit an opponent with an arrow. Um, you will increase your light armor, which is best used for roguish type characters. Uh, Whenever somebody successfully hits you, you will increase your sneak when you successfully sneak behind people, or when you try to avoid them. And the key phrase here is successfully. Um, so all these things increase in time as you use them. There is no way of cheating your way through the system anymore. You simply need to use these skills to increase them. There are some skill books in the world. When you read those books, you get a skill increase. So I think that's the only way you can increase skills without actually using them, at least what I know of. So for example, as a rogue, you'll probably want to cast illusion spells, which will turn you invisible, for example, and in the process you will increase your skills. The higher your skill is, the more experience you get for increasing it, and the more experience you get, the faster you level up. So the more you use just a few skills, the faster you will level up. The more you use a wider selection of skills, the slower you will level up. And what does this mean in game terms? Well, this world is built somewhat like Fallout New Vegas, in which and by that I mean some monsters, some encounters, some items are based upon your level, so it increases as your level increases. And some things, some monsters, some events are tied, are already predetermined in level. So some places might be too powerful for you to explore. Some creatures might be too tough to kill for a first level character. So you need to get your level up if you want access to the highest difficulty places, and when you try to kill the highest level monsters or creatures. Okay, so that covers the skills. Now let me see. So every time you level up, you get to choose one perk. Perks are displayed in every skill. There is a skill tree behind it, and all these perks have some effect on what your character can extra do, for example, or additionally do. For example, in archery, you can get a perk to get an eagle eye effect, which means you can zoom in while aiming with a bow and arrow. So, or you can, I don't know, knock down opponents, or you can freeze them, or you can, they can burst into flame if you're using fire spells. You can run faster, or you can sneak better, or there are many different sub-skills which you can choose, but only one every time you level up. So it's really important. There is no character creation per se. You really need to play as you want your character to be. If you want to play a marksman, you will want to use your bows and arrows a lot. There is no way around it. Well, removing the stats was a difficult decision, I'm sure, because Bethesda was known in their Elder Scrolls game to be a stat Nazi. The games like Daggerfall or Morrowind were at least inspired by a role-playing system called Rolemaster, which was a pen and paper role-playing system back in the 90s. Extremely difficult, extremely complex, with a lot of die rolls, percentages, critical strike tables, lots of charts. I mean, one book was like 200 pages of, Excel sheets. Uh, so it was a very complex system that enabled character creation and gameplay into great detail. But unfortunately, most the gameplay was sacrificed by the fact that you had to look at your character screen a lot, and you had to consult your sheets and so on a lot. And this also can be seen in Oblivion, the fourth Elder Scrolls game, where basically I was playing it like a month ago, and half of the time I was looking at my character screen and my skills and my stats, and was wondering how to increase them most efficiently. Should I now train this? Should I now train that? What will happen if I level up unintentionally, and so on. So it was pretty tedious, and it was simply uh, removing me from the game for that period of time, and it was very time consuming and sometimes frustrating. So I understand the choice of removing stats and adding only magicka, stamina and health as your only stats, and I think it's going to be a fun game nevertheless, or even probably more fun than it was before in its previous incarnations. So I think this covers the character. Obviously we'll see most of these things in action while I play. I cannot describe everything into detail on a, road without enemies. But the important thing here is that this is not a shooter game. This is an exploration combat slash events game, because you are not unkillable, and the enemies are pretty smart, so at least there were in Oblivion, so I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be here as well. For example, you cannot dodge spells easily. You can try to dodge arrows, but also not easily, because the enemies anticipate your movement and predict where you're going to be when they fire their arrows and spells. So you will take damage. There is no physical manipulation of your success. So I cannot just stumble, in the left and, oh, this guy missed me with his sword. It will work sometimes, but it's more important to properly use the items you have. For example, if you start to attack somebody, you will block his first attack and then swing, or you will block his attack and then swing from the left, for example, or stuff like that. So it all it all plays a part. If he's holding a shield, you're probably better off if you strike him on his arm where he doesn't have a shield, or his weapon arm, instead of his sword arm. Um, so all these things are important, and more important than, like, oh, jumping into the sidestepping. That's not going to work. Um, Same goes for ranged combat. Spellcasters and other archers will kill you if you just try to sidestep all their arrows, because they have an infinite amount of arrows available, and they are pretty good at it. So as the higher their level is, the more proficient they are in combat. So this is more like America's Army, where you need to pay attention on where you are and what you're doing and what's your aim, rather than just blaze in with your super powerful magic weapon and kill everything in sight. This is especially true if you're fighting multiple opponents, because them striking you to your back and sides will can have devastating effects. So if you're outnumbered, at least in Oblivion, that's probably the case here as well. If you're outnumbered, you are more likely to die, and I mean really more likely, not like 5%, but like 200%. And you need to pay attention to that. You need to pick your opponents. You need to try to sneak upon enemies or separate them, and that's how this game works. So I'm going to stop this video here. I hope I shed at least some light on how to play this game, this character. And see you in the next video, when I actually start moving towards that village that that guy told me to go. Journal. Talk to in Riverwood. Yeah. Okay, see you guys in the next video.